Welcome to yet another episode of Thursday Thought Leaders at BW Healthcare World. My guest today is Mr. Pavan Choudary, who is the Chairman and Director of Medical Technology Association of India. He also is the trustee of the Lal Bahadur Shastri National Memorial Trust. Welcome, Mr. Pavan Choudary, to BW Healthcare World. It's such a pleasure to have you with us here. Let me begin with my first question for you is that how has the medical technology space evolved in India in the last maybe a decade or so?
So there has been a lot of evolution. Of course, if we go to, let me say, 3-4 decades, from syringes and needles manufacturing, the manufacturing has come a long way. And from it being a very small market, it is the 4th largest market in Asia now. And if you were to look at the last 10 years, I think the evolution has really gathered pace because the natural dynamism of the healthcare sector and also the interest of the highest office in this sector. Our Prime Minister is really keen on this sector, and because of his keenness, the knowledge about this sector has spread more and more within the bureaucracy also. Otherwise, it was a sector which was covered by a veil, which it is in most of the countries. Everybody knows what is a tablet to be taken, and a kid also knows when he has to take an injection or what is a syrup. But people do not know what happens in the hospital and the nursing home, in the operation theater, in the recovery room, where medical technology is actually saving your lives. So it is a sector which is shrouded in some mystery. And because of a lot of focus from the PM on this, a lot of that has got demystified. And some bit of demystification has also happened because of COVID. Because whenever a plague comes, the medical technology sector becomes a hero. Because there is no medicine to handle the virus. So if you go 300 years back, when people had this dubious theory that plagues happen because of some foul fumes which rise from the soil called the miasma theory, the medical technology of that time was to cover the soil with flagstones, seal it, which is why you see in Europe hundreds of kilometers of soil has been covered with flagstones. Then they came to know that it is possibly because of the transmission through germs, microbes, and that time the medical technology which handled this was powder rooms. If you see in homes, more than about 150 years, there was no concept of powder rooms. But because the boys who were coming to deliver your coal and your ice every day were thought as vectors of virus or this microbe, their powder room concept came up where they could be scrubbed clean before they entered in the bathroom right next to the entry door. That was the medical technology of that time. Then came masks in 1920s. And this time the hero was ventilator. But every time a medical technology spotlight gets turned on and medical technology rescues people from the virus till a vaccine is found. So that is also one reason why this sector has suddenly gotten into prominence in the last 10 years or last 3 years, even more.
Right. And Mr. Choudary, also when we are talking of evolution of the medical technology, what is extremely important is the R&D, because medical technology is all about innovation. In fact, any technology is about innovation. But what are the challenges as a nation we are facing which curb the innovation, or is it only because when there's something like a pandemic happens that people think about innovating and doing new stuff? Are we not focused on R&D as a nation?
So R&D requires a collaboration between academia, research institutions, and the industry. And these collaborations help you in leveraging expertise, resources, and knowledge for innovation. We are actually not doing so badly in terms of R&D in MedTech in India. India has only 1.5% of the global medical device market. However, it has an 8% share of the MedTech R&D workforce already. Because most of the big multinationals, or many of the big multinationals, have set up their large R&D centers and have invested hundreds and even thousands of crores in this space. What is required is greater interface with hospitals to try to create technologies which give you quality outcomes and still are affordable. So an R&D policy is in the offing. I hope it will incentivize the R&D effort substantially to push this envelope further. Have I answered your question?
Absolutely, but I have a question related to this. But when we look at the startups that are looking at medical technology space in India, uh, they seem to somehow ignore the hospitals and the users while they're developing the technology. And it's then when they take the product or the technology to the hospital, and the hospital says, but we don't need this. We already are functioning without this. Or for that matter, it takes a long while to have an acceptance by the users. How do you curb this challenge? Because I mean, aren't the startup guys, like you said, it has to be the academia and the industry together. It has to be a collaborative approach, but that is not happening.
Yeah, because this is actually representative of embarking on a road before knowing the route map. So the route map of medical technology sector is very different from the normal sectors or conventional sectors, let us say. In this sector, first point is that the person who is going to consume the product or whom the product is going to be used has hardly any knowledge of the product. Somebody else is going to use that product on the patient. He will decide the purchase. He knows what else is available. So many a time, and we are noticing this in startups all over the world, the enthusiastic youngster engineer or biomedical engineer is coming out with a product thinking that he has come out with a novel solution, only to realize that he has actually not understood the problem also. So without interacting with doctors or healthcare workers, many products are coming into the market. And the innovator is realizing, oh my God, I have created a product for a problem which doesn't exist, or I have created a Stone Age wheel, whereas right now they are having titanium-based flywheels. And I have created something without understanding the pain points of the currently popular technology. So I feel that is why a lot of interaction has to happen between the industry and these startup incubators, etc. And this government, nudged by the Prime Minister and also by the Mr. Waghela, who was the Secretary DOP, Medical Technology Association of India also nurtured one company from IIT Kanpur, Nokark, which went into the manufacture of ventilators at the time of COVID. It pivoted into ventilators. And we brought them the support of companies like Medtronic, Stryker, and so on. And they became very successful, at least during that time, and their success is continuing. So the advantage which they got through us was experienced people who understood the space and realized what solutions will work and what such solutions are just not in tune with the times.
Got it. And sir, since you mentioned about the government and its initiatives, how do you think have the policies like Atmanirbhar Bharat, the Startup India, Make in India, etc., have helped the medtech industry in India?
So it is too early to say that how much has been the impact, but surely the interest in medical technology is very high. And if people will understand, the new entrepreneurs who are coming up will understand that there is a commercial ecosystem of this sector or commercial route map, which is different. Financial route map, which is also different, because many a time people think once I make the product, I launch it. But you have to go through the regulatory space. So you will find a lot of startups which are right now buried in the valley of death because they did not realize that there is a regulatory expense also and time which it will take. So they ran out of tarmac and had to take off, but the speed had not gathered to that extent. So and there is a commercial space. There is a even there is a marketing and advertising space also. You cannot market and advertise these products just like you sell any consumer product. There are restrictions. These might seem in the beginning walls to scale. Later on, you realize once you are successful, they are also very big entry barriers. They limit the level of congestion in the market.
Got it. And can you elaborate more on many other such challenges that the medtech industry may be facing in the current times?
So right now, the medtech industry is looking for regulatory predictability. It is looking for reduction in the plethora of companies, of agencies which regulate it. There are many agencies which regulate the medical device sector. It is looking for, if price control is inevitable, it is looking for predictability in the price control space also. The government has tried trade margin rationalization as the price control method after a deep study which it did under DOP. They should continue this method only if they are going to continue increasing the number of products under price control. The So that is regulatory predictability. Then, and price control predictability. On the Make in India also, we should make it compulsory for hospitals to buy those products which are made in India only when we are sure about their quality and quantity, that the quality and quantity guidelines can be met. We are not saying that do not come with such a guideline. Why not? But I'm just saying, nahi jamte ye zameen aasmaan to chhod de inko. Nahi jamte ye zameen aasmaan to chhod de inko. Lekin pehle naye zameen aasmaan paida kar le. That means it should not so happen that we buy or push for purchase of Indian products or domestically made products. We buy in poor quality products or inadequate quantities of products, and thus deprive the patient of quality healthcare, as well as that part of the industry which has created the market and for which there is no short-term alternative. So we must go for a technological third-party study as to what products can be quickly made in India, and there are many, and what products will take quite some time to make in India. And those products should not be brought under preferred purchase order, which mandates that the hospital should buy from domestic companies or domestically made product.
Got it.
So also we have to see that this market creates with the help of the company which has training ability. For pharmaceuticals, when a patient knows how to pop a pill or a nurse knows how to give an injection, then almost all the products which are going to come through these routes only. But in medical technology, it is not like this. Every product which comes with its software of training. And without that training, the product cannot be used. So you need to make sure that those companies which can provide the training stay in the game. Otherwise, that market itself will not create.
Got it. Got it. And Dr. Choudary, another thing that comes to my mind is the moment you have a very strong regulatory and you have challenges in production, that may lead to certain malpractices. So are there any malpractices with the medtech industry that should be curtailed by the government? And how is your association, the Medical Technology Association of India, working towards addressing these challenges related to malpractices?
So there is no industry where there are not some black sheep. So in the medical technology industry also, there are malpractices, or there are practices which should be curtailed in a big way or moderated significantly. For example, extravagant expenditure on entertainment of healthcare workers or their travel and stay, or irresponsible advertising and claim making, or any non-bona fide way incentivization of the healthcare worker to use your product. We are very sensitive about this. In fact, along with the government, we were chosen as the association to lead this cleaning up drive. And the government wants to come up with a uniform code on marketing of medical devices. And we have led that across associations, and you'll be happy to note that whether it is international associations or domestic associations, all of us have together drafted a code, which is right now being used as a, let me say, illuminator for the path forward in curbing such practices and making sure that not only is the patient interest kept paramount, but also our industry is seen in better light and gets more support from the ethical parts of the healthcare sector.
Got it. And Dr. Choudhary, while we talk about the developments in technology, how are companies working towards creating sustainability? Because one of the responsibility of any manufacturing setup today is to ensure sustainability and the environment. Do you think India should adopt more greener technologies, specifically when it comes to manufacturing of medical technologies or development of medical technologies?
Absolutely. In fact, the whole green movement is very strongly connected with healthcare, because if you will not be green enough, you will not be healthy enough. Because what is the non-green risk bringing? Non-green risk is bringing, say, climate crisis. Non-green risk is bringing pollution. Non-green risk is bringing toxic environment. So all this impacts healthcare. So because we are in such a life-saving space, we should be the first sector which should green itself, which is why many of our companies are already working on the scope 1, scope 2, and scope 3 space. As you know, the scope 1 is making sure that the power which you use is green. But scope 3 ultimately goes to your value chain. That means even the vendors which you use to supply products, to supply components, should be green. So many of our companies are already working in across this chain. And scope 1 is easy. Scope 2 and scope 3 are more difficult. And we are also the association which is saying that we should make sure that there is no greenwashing. There should be a genuine greening effort. And we are working very intensively on this, and also supporting the plastic waste and e-waste disposal programs, which the government is bringing.
And do you think there are enough regulations on quality assurance of medical technology? Because एक तो regulation हो गया कि आपको नया equipment लेके आना है, but to ensure that you are maintaining the quality, and it is because we are dealing with human lives, what are some of the regulations that are followed globally that you think should be brought into India, which currently do not exist in India?
So I feel that as far as regulations are concerned, there is no dearth of regulations in India. And regulations की तादाद इतनी है कि it becomes very difficult to follow them. Or let me say we follow them, but it requires a lot of red tape. And there are turf issues also. That means certain regulations fall between two departments. So, for example, the legal metrology department regulates the labeling in medical devices. So does the medical device rules, which are implemented by CDSCO. Now, because almost all the labeling requirements which the legal metrology department mandates are already mentioned in the medical device rules. The legal metrology department should let go and say, make sure that all our provisions will be carried out, and let the regulation happen through the CDSCO Drug and Cosmetics Act only. But nobody is willing to give up. So, so there are too many regulations, and quality assurance also. CDSCO has an essential principles checklist, which evaluates the clinical efficacy and safety of the product. That also has a clause that it should follow the quality control standards, either or FDA, CE, or India, BIS, etc. And if BIS is not there, an FDA, CE, which is the right way to go about it. So that law itself is enough. We should not bring in more and more laws, otherwise ease of doing business will suffer badly. We will be playing on different turfs here as compared to the world. Our export potential will be extremely dwarfed because we are not used to playing on the global pitch, which is why our ex-finance minister, Mr. Arun Jaitley, in a budget speech said that the industry will move, medical technology industry will move towards global harmonization of standards. Because right now, how much is the market? 1.5% of the global market. That means 98.5% of the market is waiting for us. If we don't know how to play by those rules, and if we bring in new contraptions here, we might not become stars on that pitch.
Correct. And Mr. Choudhary, how do you think, because we're talking of Atmanirbhar Bharat, we're talking of Made in India, and manufacturing and medical technology is an expensive game. So how can India work on attracting more foreign investments in the medtech domain in India? What is your opinion on what should be done?
So one thing is, as I said, regulatory predictability and ease of doing business. And ease of doing business, the government is doing a lot. And the other thing is, we should look at how countries have become centers of FDI. Let us go back a couple of 100 years. Why UK became such a strong attractor of foreign investment was because of the rule of law. The businessman knew that he will be treated as per the law, and there will be no prejudice against him. There will be no retrospective action against him, etc. So that part has to be strengthened. And we are already a country which is going by the rule of the law. We do not have instances in the medical technology sector where this rule of the law has been flouted, but I'm just saying it has to be advertised that India is a country which is inclusive and fair to all of the world, so that the domestic and the international currents both can be harnessed together here. That means खुशबुओं को फैलने का शौक है, मगर मुमकिन नहीं हवाओं से रिश्ता किए बगैर। अगर हम सही तरीके से कानून के प्रावधानों के साथ बहुत अच्छी तरह से चलते हैं, जैसे हम चलते हैं, तो ये सारे विश्व को ही पता होना चाहिए। And the technological and commercial ecosystems which we are developing should also have space for the financial support which a sector like medical technology needs. And we are already demystifying the sector. As you demystify the sector, more and more people will come into this sector as entrepreneurs.
Right. And Mr. Chaudhary, uh, do you think we as a nation are doing enough to impart the latest medical technologies at a college level, at the institutional levels? How can we further encourage more and more students to pursue them and work towards developing the technologies? Because, you know, कहीं ना कहीं healthcare or well-being or ये wellness space, medical technologies is always been the second rung. पहले they are more attractive, gaming technology, etc., which gets the attraction of the students. So what is it that we think we can we do about this?
You're right. We have to glamorize the sector also. And actually, the sector has some social taboos. Nurses, for example, nurses play such an important role in healing. All my top doctor friends tacitly or in open words admit that they may have learned surgery from XYZ, their teachers, but they have learned healing from nurses. But nursing as a profession in the society is a little looked down upon, because nurses share the fact that we are seen as those ladies who spend time at odd hours, night shifts with strange men. We are seen as those ladies who come in contact with body fluids of patients. These things have to be taken up by our celebrities, by our political class, etc., by the media, to tell what they are doing is life-saving, that there is nothing wrong in coming in contact with body fluids. All this should not be looked down upon. And so, similarly, there are other areas on which we should together move and clear the cobwebs in our social minds. In our cultural space, there are certain cobwebs which any country has. So we should try to clear them by our admiration of them, by our recognition of them, by our remuneration of them.
Got it. And Mr. Chaudhary, my last question to you is, what are your plans at MTaI in the coming days? What is it that we can expect from MTaI in the next 1 year?
So our plan is to make ourselves more and more informed and relevant. Bring us closer to the patient. So in terms of advocacy, we would like more and more the voice of the patient start coming through our interaction with patient groups, through our interaction with the ecosystem of the patient. We want to similarly come closer to the government through our contributions to FDI, through our contributions to making R&D soar here, through our contributions to making the market grow, because most of the market grows because of global companies who bring their technologies and train the workers, healthcare workers, doctors. We train 2.5 lakh people every day just from Medical Technology Association of India. Every year, sorry. And that is how the market forms. When the market forms, the domestic company can come with the product at a lower price. So then both the global company and the domestic company are serving the cause of the patient. And we have to come closer to the innovator, to the entrepreneur, provide him access to people who are interested in funding, to people who are interested in buying, to people who are interested in supporting the innovator, and also to come closer to the media, because as I said, खुशबुओं को फैलने का शौक है, मगर मुमकिन नहीं हवाओं से रिश्ता किए बगैर। सो मीडिया वो हवा है जो खुशबू को फैलने में मदद करती है। तो हम ये कोशिश करेंगे कि हम अपनी खुशबू की इंटेंसिटी और बढ़ाएं बाय कमिंग क्लोजर टू द पेशेंट, गवर्नमेंट एंड इनोवेटर, एंड आपका भी सहयोग लें जिससे हमारी खुशबू दूर तक जाए।
बिल्कुल बिल्कुल। Mr. Chaudhary, this conversation has been really, really insightful for me, and I'm sure it is going to be insightful for anyone who watches this. My key takeaways is for uh, entrepreneurs, especially looking at medical technology, to start understanding the problem that needs a solution and not just preempt a solution based on the whims and fancies of what you think could be useful.
Yes, we use a term कि 3 बाहों की स्वेटर मत बना के मत ले आना। 3 बाहों की स्वेटर बना के अगर आप ले आए तो है तो यूनिक, लेकिन बिकेगी नहीं। Okay.
And also, very important, message that you kind of gave in your conversation is that we need to glamorize the sector. You need more and more intelligent people to choose this as a sector of choice to start working in making medical technology and ensuring that, rather than just doing Atmanirbhar and Make in India, we need to figure out what is it that we can do that can make a difference to the world as well. Of course, it is a journey, but that journey needs to be embarked on. And last but not the least, what we talk about that as an association, the MTaI needs to be more informed and relevant. Efforts need to be making, and through advocacy and interaction with patient groups. Because आज की डेट में patient outcomes and patient safety is the underlying fundamental on which the healthcare industry need to work on. So I think these are brilliant takeaways from this conversation today.
Thank you very much. I also enjoyed it. Really appreciate the chat.
Thank you so much, Mr. Choudhary.